Ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, and those who remain undecided. Welcome to the greatest show on Earth. This is a show that has on the main stage religious piety, and over here, lots of distractions. What do you have to have for a show? Well, a show, silly, number one. And number two, in order to have a real show, you have to have a real audience of children. Wonderful, laughing, screaming, finger-pointing, twisting, gnarling children. And this is a story that begins just like that. The year was 1692. The colonies was known as the New World. Oh yes, this little town, you would have heard of it. But only because of its association with witchcraft. But in those days, Salem, Massachusetts was filled full of Puritans who fled England because of religious persecution. And then they inflicted the same persecution upon others. Funny how that works, isn't it? Well, in this town, there was a minister who had one little girl by the name of Abigail and her cousin Elizabeth. Now, they were just the sweetest little children, sitting in the kitchen next to their maid. Well, let's call it what it was. They had a slave. Her name was Tituba. She was Caribbean. Now, she was not a witch, but she was also not a Christian. We'll come back to that. Put a pin in it, as I like to say. So, these two little girls and their friends, after all of the many years of letting this woman take care of them, tuck them in at night and read them bedtime stories from the Bible and tell of lands far away in the Caribbean, they decided they wanted to have a little revenge on this woman. And why not? Her father's a minister, so she was quite the privileged little girl. Well, as it turns out, not only did they accuse Tituba of witchcraft, they decided too that was just not good enough. So they accused someone by the name of Sarah Good. Is that good enough? No, it was not good enough. Because then they accused someone by the name of Sarah Osborne. Now, what did these women have in common? They were all women. They were all on the outside of society. And two of the three were poor, the other was a slave. It was Sarah Good who was with child. She was expecting a baby. Her husband was a day laborer, and she would go around to the houses in town, entreating upon the good Christian neighbors to offer some morsel of food for her unborn child, her husband, and for her 4-year-old daughter, Dorcas. They also accused Sarah Osborne, an elderly woman who was poor, who was strange, who had few teeth in her head. They broke in, they held her down, and they looked for witch marks. Yeah, in those days, if you had any extra markings, it was a sign that the devil was there with you, that you were a concubine to Satan. So, they brought these three women to court before the magistrate, and Tituba had it up to here. She went, you know what? I am tired of these crazy girls. I am tired of taking care of those whiny little brats. Yeah, I'm a witch. What do you think about that? I'm a witch. And you know what else? Those women over here, these other women? Oh yeah, witches too. Yeah, well, you know, she ended up by being sentenced to prison, where she lived to tell the tale. But I personally feel that she was really just tired of taking care of those children and ended up by surviving. The other two women, whom were poor, were devout Christians, and they entreated the court, please, see how good and pious Christians we are. See that we would never offer our souls to the devil. And you know what was met with the girls? The devil! The devil! They were sentenced. It may be noted that Sarah Good's child was born in prison and died there. And then they accused the 4-year-old Dorcas of also being a witch. They brought her before the magistrate, and on fear of death, this little girl, not knowing what else to do, turned against her own mother, Sarah Good. It is said that these girls, one of the ways that they could tell there was a witch was that they had seen a little yellow bird suckling on the finger of one of their accused. Funny how that works out, isn't it? Well, mass hysteria began to boil. It began to boil, and it spread throughout the colonies, and more people were being accused, and more people hearing about Tituba surviving in jail went, distractions! Yes, I'm a witch. She's a witch too. Don't look at me, look at them. Don't look at me, look at them. Look, see? I'm a witch, she's a witch. Unfortunately, the governor of Massachusetts found it expedient to set up a court judging witchcraft trials. Oh, it was all fun and games until somebody loses an eye, and then it's just funny. And you know what? Who that eye got plucked out? He stopped it 1 year later when his own wife was accused of witchcraft. And then, no, that's ridiculous, witches. In the little town of Salem, Massachusetts, there were 20 lives destroyed. One of which, most notably, is a male. Now, most of the time, those accused were of the female sex. They were women. Giles, however, was not, and he was brought before the magistrate, and they said, "Beest thou a witch?" He refused to answer. And so they thought that they would get a confession out of him, and they put him on the ground at Gallows Hill. They put a board down on his chest, and they would stack these rocks. And when it was a lot of pain and a lot of pressure, they would stop and say, "Confess now, art thou a witch?" In response to such heinous act, Giles only said, "More weight." And they would compile more stones upon his chest, saying, "Art thou a witch?" "More weight," said Giles, refusing to implicate himself in a lie and those people that he considered good Christians. He refused. He became a real martyr. Now you would think that with such heinous acts, such fear that would lead people to destroy themselves, that we as humans would have learned 300 years ago was a long time by mortal standards. However, in the next video, we're going to be talking about something much more recent, the 1980s and the Satanic Panic. And now, a word from my co-host, my friend the Devil, and Asmodeus.
Asmodeus, I have a good one. What do you call a witch who eats only sand? A sandwich? No, she's malnourished. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you. And make certain you like and subscribe to this channel. And should you like, Patreon, it's in the link. I love and appreciate you. Till next time.
Night vision, made in a lab for lab rats like you.
Welcome back back to Much of Thoughts. Today we are discussing Underworld. Okay, so like we said in a previous video, we're going to be doing a new format where Trevor's going to be handling the reviews and giving some input, and we're going to be doing the analysis at the end.
Alright. Underworld is about, of course, the ongoing underworld of the war between vampires and lycans and the various people who get caught in between it. Now, the werewolves, the lycans in Underworld are done incredible justice. This is actually probably one of my favorite groups of werewolves in movies because they are so powerful. The vampires are afraid of them. That's not normal. I'm not used to vampires being just straight up afraid of werewolves. So I thought that was pretty cool. And this came out when I was high school, middle school, maybe. The vampires, on the other hand, are unfortunately really, really nerfed. And that kind of hurts the movie for me because I'm used to vampires being so powerful. It's ridiculous. And them having an even competition between the werewolves rather than being basically running scared the whole movie, with the exception of the elders. There is really, really cool visuals in the entire movie. The lighting, the outfits, the kind of style you would expect from a movie about this kind of thing. There's cool fights, cool weapons, very future-esque weapons that could kill a vampire a million years in the future or a lycan a million years in the future because they take their weaknesses, apply technology to them, and make them way, way more effective than they have ever been in pretty much anything. There's a lot of really, really cool twists to the story, which I thought was cool as well, especially going into it when you don't know. And at some points it kind of catches you off guard, but the only thing that really, really hurts Underworld is the fact that the vampires are so weak. I wish they were stronger. Other than that, I've been a bit of a fan since the first one came out, but I'm kind of lost because there's so many of them.
Okay. As a counterpoint to what he said, I feel that if you have a vampire protagonist in your story, they're going to seem weak because they're not against just humans, as most vampire movies are. Most vampire movies are against humans, so vampires are powerful, they are seductive, they move faster than humans. So against humanity, vampires seem so much stronger. If you have a movie where the vampire is the protagonist and you give us someone who's like Selene, where we don't really know what she can do, she seems to just be a run-of-the-mill warrior who is favored by one of the elders, Victor. They do seem nerfed because whereas werewolves have transformations that they turn into these powerful beings, the vampires are already their form. And unlike Underworld, what I did in my series was my vampires have to use swords imbued with their blood because vampire and werewolf blood in my series don't mix, and they have to slice the lichen or cut the lichen to get their blood into them. That's the only way to kill a lichen, more or less. With Underworld, with scientific bullets, with silver and what have you to stop each other, and Underworld does have the typical, special human who is not just human, and they have to get this human before the werewolves do. That was very well done. But again, the vampires do seem really clueless. I am all for vampires who are decadent and lazy and whatever. And these vampires seem to be that way because all their elders are asleep, which is good. For the story, I was completely behind it because once I realized what they were doing, I'm all for it. If you explain your world and you explain your monsters in your world in a way that makes sense for the monsters, they don't just exist just because, but there's a reason why they are the way they are, I'm 100% for it. In that sense, if we look at Selene from the beginning, she wasn't lazy or decadent. She was always fighting the werewolves. She was always going and doing what she had to do, even though everybody else was like, no, we're gonna party and chill and drink blood. She was the only one that was like, the lycans are up to something, we have to get up and do something. And everybody else was like, you're crazy, no, what are you talking about? Only to find out that the head vampire, who's not like Victor or something, was in cahoots with the lycans all along, and it was just a cluster. So I'm hoping, and I'm pretty sure that the following movies after this one get more action and get better. The vampires show more of what they can do. I will say I did like that Victor, he seemed strong, like he stopped a werewolf with his bare hands and got him down on his knees and he stabbed him with a sword. That was great. The elders are way stronger than just Selene and the other run-of-the-mill vampires, so that was also well done for me, because if you have everybody who has the same strength, who's the top vampire, who's the top monster, why does it matter? So I like that they did this way. I must say, in hindsight, forward to watching the rest of the movies whenever we get to them. But as far as analysis goes, there's gonna be a really one sentence analysis. I guess we can just say that Selene is the adopted daughter who was betrayed by her family, her found family, and she has to come into her own and defy everything she's known previously. She defies Victor, she defies all vampires, and she is on the run with a vampire-Lycan hybrid who she somehow loves for some reason. And I mean, that story's old as time. That story's been told forever. It's a story of coming into your own. It's a story of like casting aside the previous rules that don't apply to you anymore, that you can't follow. It's a typical coming of age story, just with vampires and Lycans, and it's done futuristically. This came out in like early 2000s. Yeah, it's just a simple coming of age story to me. So that's my analysis. Moving on to the monster review. The monster in this movie is kind of corruption, because nice, I like it.
Much of the conflict is due to corruption.
Mm-hmm. Corruption on the vampire side, mostly.
Corruption on the vampire side.
The vampires are very corrupt. You are led to believe in the beginning that they are the righteous ones, but you quickly learn that they don't tell their newer vampires their pasts. They keep it secret, and the elders are the only ones that know what really happened. They write in their books a different history, which is so messed up. In that end, they did a really good corruption story, I guess. So I would give them like an 8 out of 10.
I'm gonna kind of follow that. I'm gonna give it a 7. It's gonna be a little lower.
So moving on to the movie review as a whole, Underworld. I give Underworld, the first movie, a 9 out of 10 because people keep saying this is campy to me, and I do not think it's campy at all. I have never watched Underworld before this, so everyone who said that my books are like Underworld, I finally understand what you mean. It is really, the stories are really, really, really similar. Only difference is mine is set in the 17th century and this is set in the current time. 9 out of 10 for me, because I love vampires, I love werewolves, I love them both together fighting. Like, if you have that, I'm pretty much gonna like your story unless it's done really, really, really bad. So
mine is a little lower because I'm gonna give it the same as I gave the monster. I'm gonna give it a 7, but not because I hate it or I think that everything in it is wrong. There are a few little things here and there that I don't like that kind of like damper watching it for me. But other than that, cool weapons, cool fights, vampires and werewolves swinging on each other on sight all the time. Wonderful. Futuristic bullets that can do all kinds of crazy things. Great. The love story part kind of kills it for me. And I don't necessarily like the look of the hybrid, but thinking about it now, it's not so bad. It's actually I couldn't come up with a better way for him to look. So you know what? We just gonna say that, yeah, you did the right thing. So 7 out of 10 for me. Definitely looking forward to rewatching the others because I stopped at 3. So when we get past 3, I'm gonna be learning 2 along with her. So it's gonna be great.
So this was another episode of Monster Thoughts. If you want to see any other movie like this one or anyone that you think that we should watch,
like Me versus the Shark Man,
please let us know in the comments below. And this was Monster Thoughts, where we get to the heart of the monster. I'm Messi Paris.
I'm Trevor Eon. I rip the hearts out the monster. Do some.
And this is Monster Thoughts. We'll see you guys for the next one. Bye. Y'all are crazy. What the fuck?
Shit. Run. The Lycans. Whoops.
If everybody's all strong, there's no differentiation. Does that... I guess all I can do is just... I very much...
In the victim lies the controlling way, a fallen man, someone to save. In the victim lies the controlling way, a fallen man, someone to save. In the shell of a man you can't complain, a broken mind, a film to play. In the spire I can see your smile with sharpened teeth and chainsaw ryle.
actually rather embarrassed to share these, So I always have one night per month where I dream about waking up and there are dinosaurs outside. Like every time you step outside, you have to run to the very next building very quickly before a random dinosaur catches you and devours you. One time I dreamt I was walking around in my college and when I looked out the window, a raptor was just gogging back at me. Then in another dream, I was in my house, and when I went up the stairs, a T-Rex was somehow chasing me. Sometimes these dreams get so scary to me that I end up letting a carnivore eat me just so I can wake up. There was this one dream that messed me up, and it still sort of does to this day. I dreamt that I was going camping in a forest with my boyfriend and his family, and we were pretty much coasting through the woods, and in the back window of the car, there was this man wearing a mask, just walking after the car. It spooked some of us, but the dad sped off and said, "It's just some stupid prank from the other campers, okay?" Once we got settled into our camper, we started hearing footsteps and strange noises outside of it. The mom pretty much stayed glued to the windows to keep watch. My boyfriend and his dad started gathering wooden planks and nails for the doors, and his brother and I just kind of kept low to the floor because we were freaked out. Soon enough, my phone started getting voicemails, consisting only of disturbing, morbid sounds that I don't even want to share for the sake of age restrictions, okay? And that's all I remember before waking up, thankfully. Okay, so here's one that's a bit recent. So I dreamt that I was in an abandoned apartment building, but I was being chased by Negan from The Walking Dead. I know, right? Out of all the antagonists I like, my brain chose Negan. It's a funny thing to look back at now, but in that dream I was just petrified because I didn't want to end up looking like Glenn. Brendan Eyeball Soup. I actually don't even know why Negan was after me in the first place, but he just was because my brain is nice like that. I just remember for most of the dream, I was just going full on Metal Gear Solid with the stealth techniques, but I didn't have a weapon, so I couldn't sneak attack, and I have very wimpy upper body strength, so there was no way I was going to latch my tiny ass self onto his back and attempt to put him in a chokehold, okay? So you're probably guessing I woke up as soon as he bashed my head in, right? Well, not exactly. Last thing I remember was running into the basement and stopping in front of a locked door. I can actually pick locks, so I was like, okay, I can still get out of here alive. Thing is, there was no doorknob. Crap. And then I turned around to look for a knob, and there he was, standing there with Lucille, and a big-ass grin on his face too, a smug bastard. And that's when I woke up. Okay, so nightmares aside, here's one more story that's not really freaky, it's just, to you guys it might be odd. So I dreamt I was at a Target store after its closing hours, so I was pretty much the only one on the open floor. All the employees were in back, I guess. So after checking out some clothes, I got myself a slushie, which, I mean, I know Targets don't have slushie machines, but they should start doing that, like, maybe it's a seasonal thing, I don't know. Anyway, then I went out the back doors of the store, and there stood from a small distance Vegeta, and he was holding a basketball. Not a Dragon Ball, a basketball. We were on a mini basketball court behind the Target store. Before I could say anything involving freaking out because one of my favorite characters from the only anime I'll ever watch is in my presence, he goes, "I'll play you for that." Wow, that was like the worst impression I've ever done of Vegeta. I'm so sorry, guys. And he pointed to my slushie. "Okay, senpai." So we played a very short game of basketball, and I ended up losing my damn slushie. Because the dude cheated, man. He was flying the whole time. I was getting so frustrated. I was even yelling up at him, "Hey, come on, no cheating. I can't fly like you can." But whatever, you can keep the grape and mixed berry flavored slushie, I guess. That's one of my favorites, man. Well, thanks for watching, guys and gals. If you want to see more of my videos, you could go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That way you'll always know when I post something new. Freaky dreams. I tend to get them a lot. There actually used to be a time where I had chronic nightmares for 4 months straight. Yeah, it wasn't fun. It's died down a lot by now, but I still get those odd dreams from time to time that are just worth mentioning. So, to start off, a few years ago, I dreamt I was at a gothic vampire party, and at one point I was sitting on the sofa thinking about life probably, and suddenly I had the realization, oh shoot, I need to be up in the morning and I don't remember setting my alarm clock. It basically felt like the dream was going on forever and I was afraid I'd miss my alarm. Hey guys, I need to I need to wake up, so if anyone could wake me. Okay, this is awkward. When I woke up, I just remember instantly feeling my neck for any bite marks. It felt so real. I tend to get dreams where I would wake up, walk out of my room, and see someone famous just idly standing somewhere in the house. Like they live there. No joke, in one dream, I went downstairs to see Boba Fett just sitting on my couch watching TV. I said nothing and went back upstairs. Recently, I've been getting into typo negative, and at one point I thought, I wonder what the singer's up to. I'd like to draw him sometime. So I went to Google. So a couple nights later, I dreamt that I walked out of my room, and the dude was standing in my hallway. The hell? Yeah, it was a bit weird. But then later on in the dream, I walked to the store for something, and as soon as I picked up something from the shelf... Hi? Speaking of famous people, quite a while ago I dreamt I was in a warehouse, and I felt like I wasn't alone. I kept walking for a while before I heard a familiar voice. I peeked around the corner, and who was standing there talking with someone? Negan. Freaking Negan!
The hell do you mean I gotta get my back checked? I'm fine.
You know, by this time, I've asked myself so many times, why didn't you just leave, you idiot? Well, Dream Me just likes to get in trouble, apparently. So I stuck around being extra cautious with every corner I turned, occasionally hiding behind boxes when I hear something. Soon enough, I just decided to sit behind a box and meditate. Oh my god, what the hell is wrong with me? And sure enough, Dwight came by, and so we stared at each other, and after a moment, he just walked away. And then I finally think to myself, like a normal person, I should probably leave. So I stood up.
Oh, this pisses me off.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. I looked over, and he's freaking speed walking toward me with Lucille.
You better run.
And that's when I bolted. And then I woke up actually sweating. Okay, but can we talk about something that's even more freaky than a sociopathic goofball chasing you with a baseball bat? Sleepwalking. How many of you have done it? I've only done it twice. The second time probably had to be my weirdest one so far. Apparently, I went down the stairs at 2 in the morning and went to my mother about it. It's 2 a.m. What? It's 2 a.m. What are you talking about? It's 2 a.m. Honey, you're confusing me, honey. Oh, never mind! I need to cut down on the sugar before I go to sleep.
Hey guys, Potty Mouth here. Thanks for tuning in to watch this video, and huge thanks to Jalen for letting me do the voice of Negan, which is a huge honor considering that I've just now jumped into the YouTube animation scene again after a few years hiatus, and have yet to make an animation on my new channel, but I promise it's coming. In the meantime, if this is your first time watching one of Jalen's videos, be sure to subscribe and like, share, and comment, and all that other stuff we YouTube animators need for support. Thanks again for watching, and catch you later.
Hey guys, it's me. I just want to say thanks for staying patient for this animation to come out. Thanks for the fan art, and also go subscribe to Potty Mouth Animations because he did a fantastic job at voice acting in this video, and also animating his part of the end card. So yeah, thanks for watching, and have a darktacular day, and I'll see you guys later.
Hi. If you're like me, you live amongst the creatures of the night. I am never Black Benatar. And if you don't know who Black Benatar is, you're too young to be a vampire. That's probably why you like night vision, because it's stupid.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely keeping that one for later. Hello, welcome back to This Goth Can Cook. I'm your host, Sir William Wells, and you didn't see that. Today, we're going to discuss the lychee. This small fruit hails from China, and it's plucked during the summer seasonal months from its tall evergreen tree and has become quite popular here in the West over the past few decades. And today, on This Goth Can Cook, we're going to be making these lychees into gross, disgusting, bloated, decomposing eyeballs as a sugary treat. Using only two, that's right, count them, only two other simple ingredients. Now, before we get to the gross, disgusting eyeball lychee recipe, I must take the time to point out that canned lychee loses a significant amount of its perfume flavor during the canning process, compared to its fresher counterpart. However, canned lychees are going to save you so much time during prep work because their husks and their seeds have already been removed. Something that's going to save you an extraordinary amount of time in the long run. I would definitely opt for getting canned lychees every time. You're really not losing all that much in the process. This is just a very simple sweet snack. The next ingredient we're going to use is Melba sauce. Melba sauce is made from raspberries and a ton of sugar. This is where the sweetness comes in. Now, if you can't find Melba sauce in your neck of the woods, that's fine. Just get some seedless strawberry jam. It's a bit thicker, but it works just as well. Interestingly enough, Melba sauce is the key ingredient in a dessert I serve here at my restaurant called Peach Melba. Simple recipe, 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream, half of a peach in heavy syrup, Melba sauce, whipped cream, and sprinkled with sliced almonds. Peach Melba. But here, we're going to use this sugary sweetness as our gooey blood. Oh my God, that's so sweet. I'm not used to the sugar. Woo! I hope you all like sugar. Ooh. For the final ingredient, good old blueberries. These are Goth's Kitchen's best friend, as you'll see in later episodes. Let's get cooking. Well, not really cooking, because there's no cooking involved. I gotta rethink that. Okay, so here's the setup. You have your lychee right here, your Melba sauce right here, and your blueberries right here. Pretty simple. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to take a lychee, like so. You're going to take some Melba sauce in your finger and just jam it in there. Get it all dirty and just gross and bleh, as gross as you can. Then you're going to take a nice fat blueberry, stuff it right in the hole. Pretty simple, right? Looking pretty gross so far. Then you're going to take a toothpick and secure the entire thing. And that's it. There is your lychee gross eyeball. But I like to step it up a notch. At the restaurant, I use these Black Sword toothpicks for my cocktail garnish. Let's see how this works. Once again, your lychee. Dip the finger, get it all gross and in there and around and blah. Big fat blueberry. This Black Sword, and there you go. And that, to me, is a little bit more impressive. Let's make more. What's good here is that neatness does not, I repeat, does not count in this process. The messier, the better. It's supposed to be gross, but they are delicious. If you find yourself that you have a lychee that the blueberry is a little bit too small, you could always put in 2 blueberries. Just make sure that you secure them really well with your toothpicks. And there you go. A plate full of gross, disgusting lychee eyeballs. But you know what? Now that I think about it, using these cocktail skewers for the lychee eyeballs makes me think that this would be a great garnish for a bloodbath cocktail. Let's try it out. Meet me at the bar, will you? Okay, so the one thing that you must realize about the bloodbath cocktail is that it's the official Goth cocktail in the Goth community. But the problem is that many bartenders or recipes across the internet get it completely wrong. Thus, it ends up being a sour mush. I am going to teach you how to make a proper bloodbath cocktail. So pay attention. First, a shaker glass. As such, you're going to take a good heap of ice. Very important. Next, you are going to use the cheapest, crappiest wine you can find. Do not, I repeat, do not use good wine because, as I will demonstrate, the latter ingredients will cancel out this wine's taste. Very important. The crappiest wine you can find. Okay? The cheap stuff. You are going to measure out 3 fingers. I'll keep it simple that way. Next, you are going to use Chambord. Do not use anything other than Chambord. This is raspberry liqueur. It's pretty much designed for a bloodbath. You are going to measure in two fingers. As such, and a little bit more. This is where the sweetness comes in. Remember, just like the Melba sauce before, this is our source of sweetness. Next, now this is very important, cranberry juice. Please be aware that this stuff is more tart than it is sweet. And if you put too much of cranberry juice into a bloodbath, you will ruin it. I've seen many recipes that call for 1/3 wine, 1/3 Chambord, and 1/3 cranberry juice. Wrong. This is horrible. You need just a splash of cranberry juice. This goes a long way. This is very tart. Next, you take your shaker top, and then you shake it up. Just like that. There's plenty to go around. And then we strain. There's some left over? Good, more for you. And there you have it. Your classic, to the point bloodbath. Not too tart, not too sweet. And finally, we'll take one of our lychee eyeballs. Place it right there. Beautiful. Perfect. Voila. Boop. A perfect bloodbath with a disgusting eyeball in it. So there you have it. A lychee eyeball garnish in a bloodbath cocktail. Cheers to you. I hope that you'll try out this recipe. Let me know if you do. Let me know how it turns out in the comments below. And I hope that you'll join me next time where we'll explore some more recipes together. Stay gothy, my friends. All right. I think they're finally all gone. Back to my reading. Ooh, was that even possible? That's just wrong.
I never thought I'd be alive at the end of the world. Who does? It's not like you planned for it. Kill yourself!
Now you leaving? Buckle back. Mommy, you think?
Don't.
God,